Good day, and welcome to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas, and I'm excited to discuss with you today some interesting and necessary information. We bring you every Friday perspective, purpose, insight, all to help make you better so that we can all make a difference where we are. So I'm honored to have the opportunity to discuss many topics on this day that will hopefully make a difference in your community, in your life, even in the folks around you. Feel free at any time to send us your insight, but we want to first kick off with some important information. Many of us are coming out of the pandemic, global pandemic, right? Wasn't just a thing in America or overseas. A pandemic is when it does hit the entire world. It's when it's declared to be a pandemic. Pandemic relief is important. So we want to share information today that will help you in your recovery following the pandemic. There's much information that can help you not just rebuild, but restore, revive, revitalize as we all recover. As you know, the pandemic took many of our loved ones, many of our neighbors, family members, co-workers, those we parishioners with, neighbors throughout the neighborhood. Around the world in Southeast Asia, 61 million individuals passed from COVID-19. In Eastern Mediterranean, 23 million. Asia lost 9 million, as did Africa. Can you imagine Europe, who lost 270 million individuals in a 3-year span? Those are stats that are on the World Wide Web, posted by the World Health Organization, who is a leader in the pandemic, in identifying it and in helping us understand how to deal with it and now how to recover. And for my fellow Americans, 192 million of our fellow co-workers, neighbors, family members died due to COVID-19. Now, that includes the statistics from those who were prior to it actually being declared a pandemic. Because remember, there were months of individuals who were passing before it was identified or officially declared. But with all the loss, there often in the valley is that lily, is that idea of hope. And so here we are, rebirth in a place where we can redo what may have been lost. There are some things we want to share with you today to consider that can help you if you were affected by the pandemic. I want to share this story. I'm an executive leadership coach on a global level, and I had the opportunity to coach a professional who owned a chain of restaurants. Beautiful woman who spent her entire life serving others, cooking, having joy in what she built. In multiple states, she was the CEO. The pandemic caused her to close her restaurants one at a time in each state, which meant she had to deal with the effects of layoffs, of letting her staff have to now deal with the effects it will do to their family. She struggled for many months, depleting her savings and retirement to try to save and pay others' rents and help them because of the guilt she was feeling as a result of the pandemic. Individuals not buying, not going to restaurants, not communing in local places, right? As she continued to close them one by one, she got to a point where she said, Tami, I need your help. She and I sat for the first time in 35 years to help her write a resume. Now, she had to eat. Her last restaurant closed. She had no more savings, even went into her retirement, her trust fund, selling bonds, doing the things she needed to do now so that she could exist. What I loved about the fact that she came was that she said, I need your help. So we sat down. Now, a lot has changed in 35 years. Yeah, we don't use carbon copies anymore. We're not at the typewriter anymore. Their automated World Wide Web has changed in 35 years. And so to sit down and not just help her with a resume, putting her skills on paper so she could interview to get a job, but also keeping the hope alive that her dream can still be reborn. I'm proud to say that she has now finally opened her first restaurant after going through the pandemic. Now, she did what she had to do, having gone through a crisis like everyone else. There are individuals who are dealing with long COVID. That's the effects that COVID still has on this thing called a body. We want to help by sharing a few tips in our show shortly on how healthcare, how recovery with what you do naturally can help you fight. Whatever disease, whatever diagnosis, whatever you might face, we're going to share tips. So, as we think about the relief part of the pandemic, moving forward after the pandemic, we can spend time just mourning, or we can decide we're going to get help. We're going to make a stand today to not just remember those who struggled, who we no longer have with us, but find a way to prepare for the possible next pandemic so that we're better. I want to share a few resources with you. I want you to consider the USA.gov. USA.gov is a federal website that will allow you to access information that can help get you immediate financial relief. Home.treasury.gov is also available for those who are looking for real-time COVID recovery. We know that for small businesses in America, you can go to the SBA as well, try their website. But the World Health Organization also offers tips. The message that we want to share with you today is that you're not alone. You're not lost. Might be a start over, but restarts can be exciting once you change your perspective. I'll put it to you this way. I just shared stats with you. Hundreds of millions of our fellow human beings no longer walk this planet. Why are you still here? There's a purpose, there's a reason. Once you tap into the fact that I'm still here and can make a difference, consider tapping into the financial assistance you might need. USA.gov, home.treasury.gov, resources that are available to you. Again, you can go to the World Wide Web and Google pandemic relief. See what's in your neighborhood, your community. We do understand, sadly, many experience loss on great levels. I know folks who couldn't pay their mortgage anymore. They now live with other family. People are finding ways to co-mingle their funds just so they can exist. What I would challenge you to do is once you get together, once you put a new perspective in place for the relief part of life, consider how you can go from existing to living on purpose. Family, there are resources for you federally, through your local state and government, even through your local nonprofit entities. Are you having issues paying your rent? Consider where you can get local rental assistance. COVID-19 was a shock and surprise to many. Many didn't have insurance policies to help their families. Sadly, I coach another young lady who had to bury 6 family members due to the pandemic. An executive leader. So she still shows up to work because she's got a team. She has folks that rely on her. But in a personal way, she had to bury both parents, a brother and a sister, as well as an aunt and a cousin. She is the last of her immediate family. Her story has her with a payment plan with the funeral home. Family, it's always darkest in the moment. When she and I meet, we meet to brainstorm, to help her figure out the how to move forward. The purpose of our dialogue today is to remind you that forward is where you want to go. Don't stay stuck where you are. Tap into the resources that you need to make you better. Your impact is too important, and what's in front of you needs you to be prepared. Consider walking into your local bank. Consider again just talking to local churches and nonprofit agencies. Many that may not have because they were depleted with resources might certainly have a resource list so that you can get other entities that maybe you've never heard of before. There are a lot of grassroots agencies that are now thinking out of the box. Many churches are giving away free food regularly. That was not a regular resource they had before. But they found a way to step up and respond to how to give relief. This is not a moment of pride. This is a moment when we come together as a community, as global humanity, that our brothers and sisters in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, all experience the same impact. And there are some countries that were on lockdown for so long that many of them are just getting into a society type of state where they can have freedom in movement. So then what are you doing to get the relief you need? We're going to continue to revisit pandemic relief in the future on this show because it's important to not just acknowledge what we experienced, to heal from that, but to also keep hope in what's in the future. Family, there's more to come as we step into the discussion, into the other topics for the day. Consider how you can get relief with the pandemic and stay tuned because there's more after this.
Hey, it's Coach Piangelo Jones from the Empowered Morning Show, and I'm reminding you to watch All Things Well 4 Thursdays right here on the WIN Network.
Hey, how you guys doing? This is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner at Empower Mornings. Join me every Monday at noon to work out with Regina on WIN Network.
Welcome back to the Power Up. We're glad that you're joining us today, where you can be equipped, educated, elevated, and empowered, where we discuss topics that are relevant to the globe so that we can all be better as one human race. We're going to now go step into a very personal topic for me. I am a lupus warrior, an advocate of what has touched many lives across this nation, across the globe. During this Lupus Awareness Month, we want to educate how individuals can become advocates and aware of those who are around you that might struggle with this disease. Lupus symptoms can impact your organs throughout your entire body. Many aren't aware of lupus. Many don't understand the complications. Many aren't even focused until something impacts their family or someone says, yeah, I struggle with that. So we want to take time on this show during this intentional awareness month to help elevate and educate many. Lupus is one of the autoimmune issues that can affect your body. In other words, it's a disease that attacks your body. So let me put it in these terms to hopefully be a little more helpful. You know, when you catch a cold and you take that medicine to help fight the cold, what lupus does is it attacks your body thinking you are the cold. So it will attack kidneys, organs, your heart, and it can affect other and complicate other diseases. One might have swollen knees and a fever with lupus. Fatigue is often a very big symptom. So if you come in contact with others who just seem to be tired, ask them, have you been checked? Has your autoimmune system been checked? There are certainly other autoimmune diseases. The most common is rheumatoid arthritis. There are many, many, many others. Sjogren's syndrome. Many deal with fatigue that are the effects or result of other diseases, right? So I'm not necessarily speaking of the person who's just run 6 miles, who might have just worked out for an hour in the gym. That type of fatigue is natural in your body because you've exhausted your muscles. Lupus makes you feel exhausted without doing anything. I saw a post the other day that said, sometimes just getting out of bed in the morning is a victory for a lupus warrior. So just to educate, there are some key symptoms where you can be helpful to someone who might be living with lupus. If you notice rashes that tend to be shaped in butterflies or just come randomly on different parts of your body. Chest pain is another effect, another symptom of lupus. Swollen knees and joints are a huge symptom. Not just because someone's saying my back hurts, my knees hurt, I can't. But there's actual inflammation that causes your body to swell. And it's often not just because we're popping pills just to be popping them. There are opportunities to use holistic approaches to help with any ailment you face. Rest is one of the key ones they'll give you when you have swollen joints or swollen knees. WebMD talks about it often, great resource. They tell you that you've got to rest, ice, compression, and elevate, right? Put that ice on that area. It helps before you pop that Tylenol so that you're not becoming opioid dependent. That is a true fact. However, those living with autoimmune diseases have to take a drug that specifically helps their immune system to function. Those who take hydroxychloroquine understand what I'm talking about. Many times there are prescription medicines that can help, but it just helps you to function, not necessarily to address the symptom. This again is meant to educate you. Okay, those who live with lupus oftentimes have very extreme sensitivity to sunlight. Extreme, can break out in hives, can break out in rashes, and experience grave hair loss. So if you notice your loved one who all of a sudden you're seeing hair in the sink or a lot of hair in the brush, show kindness and say, have you had your autoimmune system tested? There are blood tests that can help identify lupus, can help identify your numbers so that you can become the advocate for your health. Lupus also can cause great mouth sores and anemia. And here's a key one. Memory problems, that memory fog. Sometimes we'll count it to be age. You know, I walked in this room and I'm looking around and can't remember what I came here for. Woo! I'll make a joke and say, yeah, I'm just a grandma. But I found that as with treatment, with diagnosis, that I'm able to identify the issue. Tami, why is this something you're educating us about? I want to help. Here's the thing with issues in life. Once you can identify it and put a name to it, you become the one that's powerful. It's not a fear factor when I heard the diagnosis. I actually told the doctor, thank you. Now I know what I'm dealing with. I can now become educated. Google, learn everything I can about it. The foods that you need to change. There are some foods that aggravate autoimmune diseases. Yeah. There are some foods that help with autoimmune diseases. Knowledge is power. What can you do to become the advocate in your space? You know why? because this is the only body you have in this world. When you're gone, we've enjoyed all you left. We have the dash between your birth date and that date of transition. So how about make that dash an empowering thing, y'all? It's not the diagnosis or disability. It's what you do to empower yourself to be great in spite of. So we take this opportunity to encourage the fellow warriors that whatever you're facing, that you make sure that you grow in knowledge, that you seek the help needed. Lupus awareness requires you to be aware. So that means you have to seek professional help. Yeah, their rheumatologist becomes everything. Those regular checkups, right? Being very open and transparent. Family, if something isn't normal, that means it's abnormal. Write that list between doctor's visits and take all of that to your appointment so that you become the best advocate for you. Sometimes there's small changes you can make to make you better. I'll give you an example. Rest is so important for folks who deal with autoimmune diseases. It's one thing to be the type of person that goes on 110% all the time when you're healthy and strong. When you start to experience those flare-ups, you have to listen to your body. Know when it's time to maximize your rest state. So I want to share a few tips for folks who say, well, Tami, I can't just stop. It's hard to get out of bed. Everything hurts. I'm flaring. What do I do? Let me help. There are some ways you can maximize your state of rest so that you're still being productive. Motivational tapes are amazing. Your brain is listening while you're resting. If your hands work, write the notes, type your thoughts, so that while everything else is in a state of calm, you're still being productive. Consider stocking up on those books that will help you be better, whether ebooks through Kindle, where you can listen to somebody telling you, or if you're old school like me who likes to highlight and sticky, that is a great opportunity to read during a moment of rest. You're still taking in amazing information. Check this out. How about those lupus cookbooks? There are cookbooks out just to help you with recipes, to help you be better with your autoimmune fight. And that's for anything you face. If you're a caregiver taking care of mama, her diet has changed as she's aged. There are books out there that can help the geriatric community. Still savory foods, but safe for their digestion. Become empowered. There are stories and testimonials that are out there. People have taken the time to write so that you don't feel alone. And then, how about this? You could write in your state of rest. If there's a book in you, people need to know your story. If there are ideas that you were created to do in this earth, it doesn't stop because of a disease or diagnosis. We're not living in limits here. No excuses, no distractions. What you do have to do is become empowered and plan. You plan for your down days so that you're just as effective. Who do I communicate with and say, today's not a good day for me? I'm going to take today as my rest day. All calls are going to voicemail. I'll call you tomorrow. Who is the person that is your ice, your in case of emergency, so that they know on your down days, they need to check on you. And for folks like Tami who don't like to talk because you're very private, I have learned planning is too important. Lupus contributed to Sjogren's for me. It began to attack not just my organs, but my heart. I started to experience heart complications, which caused me to be in intensive care for a week. I lost my thyroid gland. 2 surgeries because of vocal cord damage. Now, that's my quick story. But can I tell you, I'm sitting here right now after a year of no voice. Come on, family. Be empowered to make a difference, not just to others around you, but to the best you can be. A diagnosis, a disease is a name. You can speak it and claim it and go, woe is me, and be down about it. Or you can do what I've seen other lupus warriors, other cancer fighters, others who are overcomers. I've seen them step so lively that they create 5Ks around that disease. There's a lupus walk where a young lady, a wonderful, gorgeous friend who just passed from complications with lupus, didn't let it stop her. She walked that lupus walk every year. She advocated and raised awareness. She said, I'm going to use every breath I have, not to impart people concern, to make people think that I need to be someone that's down, but to let folks see the face of victory. Come on, family. Again, it's not what they call you. It's what you answer to. So consider how you can be empowered. Consider how you can learn the facts of lupus. Learn how important it is to advocate. Lupus.org, the Lupus Foundation of America, has real-time resources. They have testimonials. They have networks where you can connect with others. Maybe you're not struggling with the disease, but your loved one has it. Maybe you just want to become an advocate because you're hearing about this for the first time and you feel the need to help and step in where you can. Consider connecting to the Lupus Foundation of America. Consider using the best of you to help somebody else, because we're all here to make a difference. Family, we're going to go into some amazing health tips after this that will help with your journey. Again, not just for lupus, for cancer, diabetes, whatever you're facing, because many diseases are treatable, and check this out, and reversible. Remission is a real thing. How can you get better? We're going to talk more. Stay tuned right after this.
Marshall Weeks here with you on Financial Friday. Are you insured? I bet some of you didn't know God is in the insurance business. He has the John 3:16 policy that everyone qualifies for, especially for those of us who have pre-existing conditions. You don't even have to go into the office. He makes house calls. Let me tell you the terms of the plan. I memorized it because it's the easiest insurance policy you'll ever read. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, and whosoever believes in him shall not perish but have eternal life. So whoever believes in his son Jesus, that's the signature that automatically covers a verbal binding contract. No waiting period. You don't even have to get blood work because Jesus did it already. And his blood is so good, the policy goes into effect immediately, pays the policy in full. Can you believe it? So now we know how easy it is to insure our spirit. God's taking care of all the heavenly arrangements. But what about our earthly arrangements, our assets? Are we covered? Now, if God sent Jesus, his own and only son, to the cross for our benefit, so we would not only be covered in heaven, but on this earth, because the blood works here too, what are we leaving to our own families? God made sure we would be supplied with and reminded of his John 3:16 policy almost everywhere we go. Bumper stickers, computer screensavers, Bibles in hotels, billboards, Wednesday service, Sunday service, online service, afternoon program, aunties, grandma, uncles, ushers, and urshers. They've been talking about that John 3:16 policy since we you were little kids. So does your family know what your policy reads? And where is it? Do they know what to do? Is it the right type of insurance? Because God didn't give us any old insurance policy. It's not bootleg. So let's make sure we follow God's lead and take care of our earthly exit and our family like He's done for us. You've been empowered because you should prosper.
What's up, family? It's your girl, Terry Y. Hicks of the amazing Fab Five, and I am here to tell you to tune into the Empowerment Morning Show Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the WIN Network.
Welcome back to the Power Up. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. Excited to join you today to continue embarking on different information and topics that make us better human beings, so that we can be better to our neighbors, our family, our co-workers, those we meet around us. You never know when you'll be put in a place to have to be the one to make that difference. We're now going to discuss health tips for the day. We want to take an opportunity to really make sure that we share information that touches the human body. This isn't just an American thing or an Asian thing. This is the fact that we are all of the dirt. We all have this body that has come and will one day leave. No one lives forever. If so, I'd like to have a conversation with a few of my ancestors, let me tell you. So as we think about some of the health tips for today, we're going to do some reality check. Now, folks who know me know I love hate mail, love letters. Let's call it that. I enjoy your feedback. Feel free to send it to us. But sometimes you need somebody to say what you've been thinking or what you might have heard from someone else. Here you go. You are responsible for temple maintenance. Yeah, you're responsible for whatever you do with this body. You have the ability to determine how it's going to impact you. Now, we just spoke about lupus awareness. Many of us didn't choose lupus. That's an autoimmune disease that has been identified to be hierarchy, also environmental. Some of it's legacy. Your parents had it back in the day. They didn't know anything about lupus. So some of it is transferred through generations, right? Sometimes you can be diagnosed with cancer through secondhand smoke. You might not be the one smoking, but you live with someone who is. And the environment affects your body, okay? So there's some things that are out of your control. What we want to do is empower you with that's in your control to make a difference. Here are a few tips that can help you. Number one, remember, you are what you eat. Family, if you decide to sit back and eat that full rack of ribs, know that you're responsible for where it's going to store, because it takes time for red meat to process. If you decide to eat those ribs on Monday and that double burger on Tuesday and then follow up with a steak on Wednesday, understand you're going to experience gastro pain. Your stomach is full of acid. It doesn't have a knife that's chopping up stuff. It has acid that eats away at it. So it takes time to process red meat. But you've got to consider what you have control over. Can I offer a tip for you? Listen, I'm not the one to say don't indulge. And I'm certainly not the one to say don't do what you want to do. Enjoy life to the fullest. However, you get to reap the consequences of what you decide you're going to impart. You eat those full rack of ribs on Monday, enjoy, baby. However, consider that salad for dinner. Consider having a smoothie the next day. The purpose of allowing plant-based diets or allowing smoothies is to give your stomach a chance to process, to allow your digestive tract to push all that out that you just crammed on in. If you got to have that gallon of ice cream, go right ahead and enjoy yourself, topped with everything you need to top it with. Just know that that sugar breaks down and stores in different parts of your body. You then have the responsibility to work it off. Yep, you got to burn it. Otherwise, it just exists with you. That's the reason that it's important to know how you decide what your meal plan is going to be. I know we get sick and tired of all the diets that's out here. There's so many, there's more than I'm even going to try to name. So instead of considering just diet approaches, consider getting with a nutritionist. Consider meeting with a dietitian. Consider getting educated, ebooks, even reading from others who have shown that they've done something that's worked for them. Now, no one answer fits all. And you always want to seek professional guidance from your doctor who knows your blood work. They know what medications you're on. You always want to incorporate or start with your healthcare professional. But then once you get the information, you got to do something. Family action is what makes the difference. I'll put it like this. You only reap what you sow. That's why sowing season is important. That's why the farmers are very intentional about when the weather is a certain way, that's when they do their planting. When they know the rain is coming, they have a certain harvest place in set. It's all ready so that everything is the type of ground has been tilled. Everything has been prepared because they're not thinking about the work and the labor right now. They're thinking about the reaping, the harvest that's coming, the money they're going to get when those big old fat strawberries are in the grocery store, when those watermelons that are huge, we love, come during the summertime. They're thinking about the harvest. Any financial analyst will give you the exact same speech. That's why it's important to put away, because if you can just get disciplined on not touching what you're reaping, what you're sowing, what you're saving, that day will come when you can pay cash for that plasma TV instead of having to worry about it hitting your credit. Come on, somebody. That was a side tip. When we think about our health, we have to stop being reactive. Many of us just are good with going to the emergency room every chance we get sick. That not only makes a bigger issue for the healthcare system, but it could impact you in a negative way. Let me give you an example. How many times have you gone to the emergency room and went right in, got your diagnosis, got your test, and went right out? Usually you sit in the ER for hours, because there's so many others in front of you that they have to rank in their order of priority. You have to stand and consider, do my chest pains, are they bigger than the person who might have lost a limb? They in the back have to prioritize where you fall in that. And then the pandemic showed that some of our healthcare systems are so overwhelmed and understaffed. So being proactive instead of reactive will help you better prepare for you. I want to get rid of one myth. There is no perfect body and perfect human on this planet. We have to stop looking at other people saying that's how I want to be, and instead saying I want to be the healthiest me possible. And we've got to teach our young ladies and our young men that it's not about having a body that's perfect like others we might see on social media. It's about being the best, healthiest, strongest us we can possibly be. Drinking water is extremely important. The reason is because, family, you're primarily water. Over 60% of your body is moist and has to remain hydrated. Now, we look at our skin, we look at our eyes, we look at our tongue, we look at what we can see. But water tends to help more so what's under the skin. Water helps hydrate your brain first thing in the morning before you drink that cup of coffee. Come on now. Water helps to flush out your liver for all of those that's taking those medications. Water helps so that it hydrates, replenishes, refreshes. It pushes out the stuff that you're trying not to have stored in those places. Yeah, many of us, you've got the ankle swelling, you've got the back fat, listen, I feel you. But what's important is knowing it's not just about the mirror, it's about being healthy. So, family, consider not just drinking water, but what you can add to that water to infuse additional health. I drink lemon water. Most people that see me always see lemons or stuff floating around in my water. Citrus is truly a from the earth antioxidant that will help you in your daily fight. Vitamin C helps you boost your immune system. Those of us that live with autoimmune diseases know that. We have to increase our amount of vitamin C daily. Well, if you're not one to pop pills, consider putting that lemon in your water every day. Consider having that orange. Consider making that lime tea or whatever works for you so that you're getting stuff from the earth that can help you. All we're doing here is wanting to elevate your knowledge so that you're empowered. Consider how you can do little things that make your day better. Consider this. How often do you not eat salads? I know folks that they're like, I don't like salads. Okay. They are meat and potatoes, folks. Not mad about it. But that's a lot of carbs and a lot of red meat. And the reason people talk about how carbs affects your body is because carbohydrates turn into sugar and they store in your body just like that artificial granulated white sugar that you put in your coffee and your tea. I hope I just helped someone. Raw sugar comes out brown. If you're getting it out of bag and it's white, it's had additives put with it so that it can stay stored on the shelf, which means you have to watch how much you consume. Again, not saying don't do it, talking about how much. So, last and final tip as we talk about health this day, consider portion control. Now, many charts have changed over the years where you baseball size steak and this size, they have a playing card size, this, and you can Google and get examples of portion sizes. What most doctors will tell you is too much where it hurts is too much to eat. Be okay pushing away. Listen, leftovers are amazing, if you ask me. Especially if the meal was all that. Give me something to look forward to. Go ahead and pack your to-go first and then enjoy. Helping somebody. That full rack of ribs can easily be 6 and enjoy the other 6 later. Didn't take anything from you. Just gave you space for digestion. Got it? The more you can help your body, the more your body will help you. Whether you add lemon or whether you eat citrus, whether you add a smoothie day, whether you eat more salads. Listen, consider smaller portions. You don't need that big old 20-ounce steak at one time. Many of us can't eat it all anyway because you start to feel the aches, pains. You start to get gassy. That's your body telling you it needs a break. Pack the rest up and enjoy your steak and eggs later in the week. Family, these are just a few health tips because the better you are in this body, the longer you live and the better quality of life you have as you age. So as we move forward after this break, we're going to go into our motivation moment. Stay tuned. There's more after this.
Hey everybody, this is Regina Hutt, the wellness practitioner on Empowered Mornings. We'd like to invite you every Wednesday night, 8 p.m., uniquely and gorgeous, to keep your mind locked and loaded on WIN Network.
Hey, it's your girl A Love. Make sure you follow me and Pastor PG, LaShonda Robinson, on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Girl Let's Talk. And let me tell you, it's not your typical church conversation. Make sure you join us on the WIN Network.
Welcome back, family. This is the Power Up with your host, Tami Hill Thomas. So glad to experience this wonderful day with you as we've shared information about how you can recover after the pandemic, how you can find relief with financial assistance, and even tips on connecting with grassroots and local entities that can help you. Remember that you can go to usa.gov to find financial assistance, home.treasury.gov to tap into those federal resources. Remember that during this Lupus Awareness Month, it's meant to empower you that you've heard about lupus as never before and that you understand and get sensitive, remain well in your fight. And also be nice to those who have their own struggles. Consider lupus.org, the Lupus Foundation of America, where you can sign up as an advocate, even learn more information on how you can be a help to your fellow man. We just had an opportunity to discuss some health tips to how you can be better you in this flesh, in this body. I do also want to remind you that this body consumes many things. It consumes your heart that has to pump. Remember, if you don't have a pumping heart, you got problems. So heart health, we're going to talk about. It also consumes your brain and how your mind functions. Remember, you can always get mental health resources through the National Institute on Mental Health. And for my family who might be struggling, there are folks available and waiting just to talk. Never feel like you're alone on this planet. Feel like nobody understands. We would rather hear your story than read it in an obituary. Consider the National Suicide Lifeline, those trained, skilled, ready to talk to you individuals that are just there for you. As we go into this motivation moment, we want to remind you to stay future focused. We find interesting experiences in life that cause us to get stuck. We feel like we get stagnant. We can't go forward. That's a very real feeling. So we don't want to discourage you and say, you don't have a right to feel that way. Nope. Excuse me. No one has a right to tell you how you feel. In fact, hear from me. Your feelings are valid. Whatever you feel is an effect of what you're dealing with. Owning it, realizing it, and then deciding what action I'm going to put to that is what you want to do. The difference with folks who commit suicide is that they feel like all hope is lost. There's no other options. They're at the end. I want to encourage you to consider this. If you decide you're going to stop today, whatever is in front of you, if you decide, I quit, I'm not going to try to finish that plan. I'm sick of trying to start this business. I hit a wall with this book. I'm done with the relationship or trying to even talk to her. She's not making sense to me. I'm done with this job or even trying to figure out how I'm going to be. I'm just sick of everything. When you get to that point, I want you to consider something. Your future is so much brighter than what you can even understand because you haven't experienced it yet. So what you're giving up on is tomorrow. What you're giving up on is the after this effect. There's always better after this. See, when you're in the wilderness, all you feel is the sticker briars. All you feel is the bushes. All you see is the dark. Sometimes when you walk through that valley and shadow of death, it's cold, right? It feels lonely. And then death is a whole different effect by itself. It hurts. And sometimes you don't want to talk about how you feel. And honestly, there's times when I couldn't say it and articulate it if I tried to talk about it. Real talk for real folks. What we need you to understand here on the Power Up is the end is not the end until you decide you're not going to try anymore. That's when you stop, you cease. And the thing is, you miss everything that's after that. See, I'm a sister of faith. I believe that there's a higher power who designed my life to be great. I believe that there's more to this in spite of what I see. Can I tell you, I've lived enough to know that trouble won't last always, as Grandma used to say. I've also lived enough to know that if the God I believe in did it before, he'll do it again. I've been through childbirth 3 times. So I didn't stop and say, no, I can't have any more kids. That was hard. I said, but knowing I'm going to bring a human into this world that's going to change the world is too great. I can't stop now. I'm going to continue to try to be the best mom possible. I didn't stop when it came to having to fall down when I was a baby. I got back up and tried to keep going. When I fell off that bike as a teen, I didn't stop. I got back up and I found a way to keep going. And here's the thing for the business owners, for the entrepreneurs, for those who want to step out there and take risk with starting a business. Let me give you the cheat sheet. You're going to hear 1,000 no's before you get that one yes. And it's not meant to make you stop your dreams. It's not meant to make you say, I can't. It's meant to have you learn from that experience. I share often that my son is a goalkeeper he was for the U.S. soccer team, and now he's semi-pro. I watch my son regularly slam his body into the ground trying to block shots. He doesn't get them all. His attempt is to stop. So yes, he's lost some games. He hasn't won them all. Nobody's perfect. But he said to me one time, Mom, I either win or I learn. I got to watch the video. I got to watch the tape. I have to see what I messed up on so that I can be better the next time. Growing from your circumstance is what makes you the better you. Because the 50-year-old Tami is totally different than the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. And I got news for you. I'm excited about what the 60, the 70, the 80 is going to be. That's what has to propel us into staying future focused. Today's message is to remind you that your future is too great to stop now. Consider tapping into the resources that you need to help you when you're stuck. It's natural to get to a place of pause. You don't just fly over those speed bumps in your car. You pull up to a speed bump, you slow down because you're not trying to tear up anything, and then you proceed. You don't just plow through stop signs on the road. You pull up to the stop sign. You assess the area. Is anybody crossing at the crosswalk? Are there other cars coming? And then you safely proceed. Same with life. There's going to be times when you're going to deal with speed bumps in the road. You're going to deal with those no's. Family, you're going to deal with haters. Back in the 60s, they used to be called jive turkeys. You're going to deal with the folks that don't see your vision the way you see it. You're going to deal with the ones that don't believe what you're saying. Don't even have faith that you can do what you're talking about doing. You're going to encounter them. And can I tell you, it's okay. Folks don't hate the folks that's not doing anything. They only hate the good ones. Statement from Kobe Bryant. Remember that it's important that you fulfill your destiny. I plan to be exhausted when I go to the graveyard. I want to leave everything I possibly have here on this planet Earth. Have fun doing it and be so purposeful that I start to embrace the differences, the uniqueness, and the new opportunities every day. So for folks who might feel uncomfortable, it's because it's not meant for you to be comfortable. Ooh, that's good. For folks who might say, I just don't like this, it's different. It's supposed to be different because maybe you're going to that next level now. Maybe you're climbing that next ladder rim. Maybe God is positioning you in the room where you're supposed to be amongst those kings and queens. Remember, your gift will make room for you, but that means you got to be in the room. You got to be around folks that see the gift, that invest in the gift, and that push you to be great. Consider surrounding yourself with those who speak life into you, who see your vision, who understand your worth versus attaching and being comfortable with folks that drain you. Because you're going to end up depleted if all you do is pour. At some point, you got to get refilled. Connect yourself with the fillers. Connect yourself with the coaches who can help you process in a safe, confidential space. Connect yourself with the therapist who can help you understand your thought process, what you went through in the past that might have been traumatic, and how you can now get beyond the hurt to go into being amazing. How you can use that to push you instead of pause you. Consider talking to grandma or folks around you that you admire. And can I give you a tip I use often? If you see somebody doing what you're dreaming about doing, reach out and connect with them, honey. Consider getting networked with people that are already doing what you want. If it's not hard to connect to an author group on Facebook. Social media has made it so amazing to connect with folks in other lands, in other countries, that you can copy from. You don't have to start from scratch creating the wheel. You just need someone to believe, push, invest, and remind you of how great you are. So here on the Power Up, we want to end with reminding you that your purpose doesn't stop because of the pressure. I need you to write that down. Your purpose does not stop because of the pressure. Your pressure oftentimes will help you change your mindset and see things differently. And it will help the diamond in you get crushed so much, clean the dirt off of it so that you come shining through. It makes that rose that pushes through the dirt, pushes through that manure, pushes through that compost, be as beautiful as needed in spite of what it just went through. Come on, family. Your future needs you and all that you're learning in this hard moment so that you can make a difference. We look forward to seeing you the next Power Up session. I'm your host, Tami Hill Thomas. Family, keep living and do it on purpose. See you next time.